Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 69. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. If you guys would like to ask us any questions, you can leave a voice message at the anchor link or in the YouTube comment section. Today, we're going to be talking about general gaming news, including our predictions for the PlayStation Showcase, then our recent activities within gaming and anime. Afterwards, our thoughts on the Marvel What If episodes that have recently come out, episodes 3 and 4, I believe. And then lastly, our full thoughts and discussion around the Spider-Man No Way Home teaser trailer. So, first piece of news is that the Netflix Cowboy Bebop show, they released some pictures to sort of advertise the show that'll premiere on November 19th. So this is the live action adaptation with John Cho and a couple of other actors sort of adapting the Cowboy Bebop anime into a live action series for Netflix. Me personally, just by how they look and how the Cowboy Bebop is sort of represented here, I don't have a huge problem with it. I think that it looks good, honestly. But, you know, there was definitely some controversy with the actress playing Faye Valentine and how she doesn't look like the anime. And I'm just like, guys, this is a fucking live action adaptation and shit like that. And, you know, people are being horny or whatever, you know, she doesn't look like the way she does in the fucking anime. And I'm just like, you guys are being weird. So just stop it. And you don't even know like how she is performing within the show itself. So I'm just gonna have to wait and see, because I feel like live action adaptations in general, especially anime stuff, is very iffy. And I feel like Cowboy Bebop, in my opinion, is like perfect already. So yeah, that's what I'll say for now.
I feel the same way. Like, I feel like out of all the anime, I feel like Cowboy Bebop should be a little easier to do than some of the other ones. But you know, Netflix and their anime adaptations hasn't been great. Like with Death Note, I haven't watched it, but it looks pretty terrible. At least the costumes look pretty good in this. Like, you know, they look really faithful to like the anime, and I think the actors do a pretty good job. You know, just dressing up as them. So, I mean, it's kind of hard. You know, you already know what these characters look like, so they're trying their best. They even got the dog, so
Yes.
that's pretty cool. I haven't only watched like 4 episodes of Cowboy Bebop, so I'm not really like I can't really comment too much on it. I actually need to go back and watch it, or like the whole thing. But it looks like they're giving it a decent attempt, and like I said, shouldn't be that hard, but you never know.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, you can't really gauge anything by just looking at it. I need to see how they act. I need to see how, you know, how much it follows the story, if they deviate things too much. So,
If the
you
music
know,
is still good.
yeah, the music is still really good, right? Because Cowboy Bebop has a really good soundtrack. So, yeah, it really just depends on all that. But from what I'm looking at, I mean, I think it looks all right. You know, I have nothing against it.
Yeah, I think that, you know, once it actually premieres on Netflix in November, I think that then people are going to have a lot more other opinions, and hopefully it is good, because John Cho as an actor, I loved him in the movie Searching. It's pretty much about the entire movie takes place on screens. So, and it's about him trying to find his daughter, and he's trying to search for her, if you will. And it's sort of like a investigative sort of movie. It's pretty good. I watched it in theaters and have it on Blu-ray. I think I've watched it once at home too. But yeah, that is definitely one of my favorite movies from that year. And these other actors and actresses, I don't know too much about them, but like you said, they are definitely playing. They look like the characters, which is like a very good start. So hopefully it is good, but who knows? Like you said, Netflix's track record with anime live action adaptations has not been good, but Cowboy Bebop shouldn't be hard, because it is just sort of like an action sort of space adventure sort of thing. So
Yeah, so hopefully don't mess it up too much, or else you could bet your ass a lot of people will make fun of it
oh
when it
yeah,
comes
I
out.
mean, like either way, the way I always viewed it whenever adaptations happen, if you know they want to do it, let them do it, but in some cases it's not necessarily like this one. Some people may argue, but if they're going through with it, as long as you know they do what they can and it's actually good, I don't mind. But obviously you can always fall back to the old stuff, the original, and you know watch that as always. So
Yeah, I mean, it's never going to be ruined. If anything, it's something you can make fun of, and if it is good, you can see that with like, oh, they actually did care about the source material, and it's like a nice little like I guess tribute or whatever to the actual like main series. So, you know, either way, it's content for people that actually like
yep.
you know Cowboy Bebop and stuff. So yeah.
More
All right, so
content.
next, yep, it's always about the content, you know. So next we got a second trailer for Metroid Dread. Apparently this had a lot of spoilers. Like I heard a lot of people say like, "Hey, don't watch this if you like care about the story." I mean, I don't really know that much about Metroid lore, so I
Truing.
didn't really care. So I just see a Chozo like just attacking Samus. I'm like, I guess that's a bad thing that's happening. But it looks cool. It looks like they're going more. I guess spoilers. We didn't watch the trailer, but whatever. But yeah, basically it looks like I guess this game is gonna go more into like the Chozo and like how Samus is like connected to them. Look, I know a little bit about the lore. Like I know the Chozo raised Samus and stuff, and she's like infused her with their DNA. That's why she's so like strong or whatever. So I don't know if this game is gonna go more into that or what, but it looks pretty interesting. And then you see some other characters in there, like Kraid. You see him. I think he's gonna be a boss. Like again, I think with some other like Metroid. I don't know. There's a lot of cool things going on. We also see some new power ups. Like she has like this targeted missile thing that she can lock on to multiple things and shoot a bunch of missiles. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, but overall the game's still looking really good. Like I really like the cutscenes, look really cinematic, and I think it does what Metroid does really well, where they tell this story without saying like any dialogue at all, which I think is always pretty neat. Since I feel like that would like betray what Metroid is good at, right? Being like this really atmospheric, like alien type game. That's why people didn't like Other M, because that game was just full of really bad dialogue. So I think Metroid is always pretty good at more environmental storytelling and just like showing and not really telling. So I think this trailer really gets that vibe across.
Yeah. And like you said, with the gameplay, that's like my main thing with it, is that like this game just looks fucking phenomenal. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it looks really fun.
As a person that has played Samus Returns on the 3DS a little bit, I haven't finished it. This game obviously is taking sort of what that game built upon and just putting it on the Switch with more power-ups, new abilities, and it looks really good. And I cannot wait to buy it and maybe play it. I'm definitely going to buy it just to support and show Nintendo that, hey, there are people out there that still like Metroid and like Samus, and hopefully we will get more games with her. And yeah, like you said, with the story and the lore, I have no idea what the hell is going on. I know some things, I know some characters, I know some elements, but this being like a whole big spoiler thing, I didn't really get that across. But it is what it is. I feel like story in Nintendo games has never really been a concern for me personally. I think the only time I've really been a huge fan of a game story for a Nintendo game was Kid Icarus Uprising, but outside of that, it's been more or less like good guy stops bad guy sort of thing. So, but I know that this trailer in particular likely got a lot of Metroid fans excited just to see that the story progression for Samus to continue. So,
yeah. And there's another thing just with the gameplay that it's good to see that Mercury Steam, the developers of this game and the Metroid 2 remake, like they seem to be really taking a lot of things into account. Like maybe send the complaints they had with that game into this game. Looks like they're really ironing it out, because this game looks really good. Like Samus is moving around everywhere. Like everything looks great. So I know a lot of people, for the most part, really like the 2 remake, but it seems like they're really going full steam ahead with this game. So that's really good to see, because I'm happy Nintendo really trusts them to make like basically the next full Metroid game. So that's really cool to see. Obviously, Prime 4 is coming out at some point, but it's always nice to get a new 2D Metroid, especially when it looks this good. So yeah, I'm also really excited for it. I still need to play the 2 remake and Fusion, but from when I played Zero Mission and Super Metroid a bit earlier in the year, I loved it. So I can't wait to play more Metroid.
Yeah. All right. So next bit of news, something that I did not expect to see as a headline. So Shawn Mendes, he is going to be the executive producer, I think, in the music part for the Life is Strange TV adaptation. So I believe this was picked up in 2016. And it's been in development since, and Shawn Mendes, I guess, is now, his name is attached to it, might be making music for it, who the hell knows. But I think that the bigger discussion here is like a live action sort of Life is Strange series is kind of interesting. I think that if it were to be done in like a Netflix style, with like that one Black Mirror episode where like you chose what you chose the choices, and then it like brought you to like a different part of like the like next part of the story or whatever, like that would be pretty cool. But like if it's just gonna be like a sort of like Riverdale sort of coming of age high school, like that sort of thing, I wouldn't mind that either, just because these characters I love, and I think that because it takes place at like a high school / boarding school or whatever, it can work, with the cheesy dialogue, the cheesy sort of setting or whatever. It is what it is. We obviously don't know much about this series other than that it got picked up in 2016 and it's been in development since. And with this news of Shawn Mendes, which I'm honestly a huge fan of his music, I love his songs. So, seeing him attached to this series is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, again, my biggest concern is to do make it a generic, like just teen sort of like drama thing. Even though that is what it is, like I know, but as a game, I think it works really well because of the whole time travel mechanic and able to do that.
Hmm.
I think that's why I wasn't that big of a fan of Life is Strange 2 because it kind of took that away. And just having that interesting gameplay mechanic plus the narrative really is what makes Life is Strange special to me, which is why I'm excited for True Colors because it looks like the power is gonna be more like that. Well, not like traveling back in time, but something more impactful to the dialogue and how you see your choices.
Hmm.
Having that as a TV show, I feel like that kind of takes away from it, unless it's like a Bandersnatch thing where you could like is like an interactive thing. That would be kind of
Hmm.
cool, but I doubt they're gonna do that because that's a lot of work.
Yep.
But I mean, it could still work as just just a normal like teen drama. But would it be as special as the first, as just the first game in general? Probably not. But it was probably still be entertaining. Um, my only issue is hopefully they could like know when to end it, right? Because like 13 Reasons Why, right?
Hmm.
It didn't need more than one season. It kind of just ended after one season, but it kept going for like three more seasons. And I know
Hmm.
that show's kind of controversial in general, but I actually really like the first season. Hopefully they can do the same thing with Life is Strange, where you just come up with like weird fan fiction after like the end of the game and just do their own thing. But I don't know. I would just gotta see where it goes from there. It'd be interesting. I might watch it if they actually do like release it on like streaming platforms because I do want to see where it goes. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of unknowns. Mostly with a game like this. Life
Yeah.
Strange is just weird.
Hmm. I think that for me personally, when it comes to like adaptations in general, like for example, this past week on Twitter, a lot of people were voicing their outrage of the Train to Busan, the sort of like American adaptation that they're making. A lot of
Uh-huh.
people were like, yeah, like it shouldn't happen, which I think that that is very obvious because if you watch that movie's fucking fantastic. I think
Yeah, it
that,
is.
we just like randomly watched it on Netflix together at your
Yeah, I
house.
didn't even knew it was like a good movie. We
Yeah,
just
like we
watched.
had no idea that it was like phenomenal, but it was like super entertaining and really good. And having a adaptation of that is obviously unnecessary, but from like a different like medium perspective, like from game to movie or game to TV show, I don't mind it. Even if it is bad, you'll just put your time or your money where your mouth is, sort of thing. You just won't support it or whatever the case is, because, like when this comes out, if it's on a streaming platform that I have, I'll definitely try to give it a watch and see how it is. But obviously we don't know when it's going to come out or how far in development this show is, but Life is Strange as a series, I think that having it become a sort of like TV show can bring more eyes and more fans into the series itself, which is kind of exciting. But we're just gonna have to wait and see on how good or how bad this adaptation will eventually be.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Like I said with the Cowboy Bebop thing, it's gonna be fun regardless. So
Hmm.
there's always gonna be a great time. All right. So next we got some Sony stuff, and the first bit of it isn't very good news. So
Hmm.
Horizon Forbidden West will not be having a free upgrade from PS4 to PS5 unless you pay for it. So yeah, there won't be a free upgrade from PS4 to PS5 for the standard edition. So if you bought the $60 PS4 version, you won't be able to upgrade to the $70 PS5 version because obviously there's a price gap now because Sony is Sony. So
Hmm.
you would have to buy the digital deluxe version, which is $80 to be able to play both versions of the game. So basically, if you have a PS4 and you are planning to get PS5 in the future, you have to buy the $80 version if you want to keep playing Horizon Forbidden West. So yeah, basically this is what they did with Ghost of Tsushima as well. Since the to upgrade it, you have to pay $10 to be able to upgrade to the PS5 version, and also if you want the new content, it was like I think attached to that as well. And yeah, this got people really upset, and I can see why. I mean, I was pretty upset about the Ghost of Tsushima thing as well, but this one is just straight up being like, yeah, there is no free upgrade to PS4 to PS5, which is really weird since they're making Horizon for both the PS4 and PS5. You think this game would have a free, like a free upgrade,
Hmm.
since it could show, if people are playing on the PS4 version and they get a PS5 version maybe later, they'd be like, "Oh, look at the power of the PS5." Like, that seems like a pretty good incentive, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
nah, Sony is being really greedy about it and saying, "Nah, if you want to upgrade, yeah, pay for the digital deluxe version for $80." So yeah, I think that's pretty dumb. Xbox has been really killing it this generation right now in terms of just like their service, like the smart delivery has been really good. Like any game you would buy for the Xbox One will automatically get upgraded to the Series X and S, and it's been seamless. I've been hearing. Sony has just been such a pain in the ass to upgrade anything. Even Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was also a pain in the ass to do. Ghost of Tsushima was a pain in the ass to do. I'll talk about that when I actually talk about the DLC because I had some issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been just a hassle. And, I think Sony's being like this because they're just getting arrogant, right? They were really on top with the PS4 gen. And now they're like, oh, we can do whatever we want. They were like this during the PS3 too, because at the end of the PlayStation 2, they were like on top, right? And then PS3, they were like, oh, we're our number one. And then they ate shit for like half of the PS3 gen, and they're like, okay, hold up. So I feel like Sony's kind of going back to that arrogant PS3 ways, and I'm hoping they like get a like slap in reality because what they're doing is like really annoying.
Yeah.
And as someone who's we both love like Sony properties, so it's really annoying to like have to deal with it right now. But I don't know. What do you think about all this?
I mean, obviously, like this is not good.
Yeah.
I think that it is hilarious that literally the only way to get both the PS4 and the PS5 version when you buy it up front is to buy it digitally. And that goes for both the special so the main way that I think a lot of people are going to get both versions, like off the bat, is getting the digital deluxe edition, which is $80. But if you happen to buy the collector's edition or the Regala edition, which is like was it $260 or something like that?
A lot of money.
Yeah. The Regala is $260. The collector's edition is $200. And both of those versions, or both of those editions, they have both versions of the game, the PS4 and the PS5 version, but they're both digital voucher codes, which is very weird because I think that you're already spending that much money on a edition like that. I don't know why Sony/PlayStation couldn't just throw the disc in, especially since it comes with a steelbook. It comes with the steelbook, by the way. Like, this is so ridiculous and so weird that, especially like for me as a collector and as a as a prominent voice as for like physical media within gaming, movies, anime, etc. Like, it is very weird that like they are just saying here's a digital code, and like that's pretty much like $70 to $80 of what you're paying for these editions, and then the rest of it is just like a bunch of like bullshit with like art books, digital codes, statues. And I call it bullshit because that's what it is. Like, I am a guilty person that has bought special editions, physical like mega versions of a game, like Last of Us Part 2. I got the one with Ellie. I was gonna get the one with her backpack. I'm glad I didn't, because that shit was like actually $200, and
oh my god,
that like sold out instantly. So I just settled for the one with just her statue, and that just literally sits in the same box that it came with because I just don't have room for it. Same thing for the Sonic Mania thing that comes with the statue. That one didn't have a physical version because they didn't plan to have one yet, and it came with a voucher code, which is fine, because that game was a digital game to begin with. But with a game like this that has a physical version at launch, it is very weird that there are no physical version way to like get both versions of the game, which is them also just saying that like we're not going to allow you to like put the PS4 disc into a PS5 and then allow you to upgrade it for free. Because like you said, when people have the PS4 right now and they're unable to get a fucking PS5 because it is sold out everywhere because the demand is too high and they can't, supply that demand, which is reasonable because we are still living in a pandemic world. It would be nice to have it be like just like with Miles Morales Spider-Man, where you would see that upgrade when you eventually got the PS5 and sort of see, the instant load times, the ray tracing, all of that other stuff within Horizon Forbidden West. But that's just not going to happen now unless you get the digital deluxe edition, which is $80 from the start, and it's a digital version of the game. So once you buy that, you can't really do much with it. You can't resell it, you can't trade it off or whatever. So yeah, I just, obviously this is just ridiculous. And I think that Sony might undo this. I feel like that, if there's enough sort of outcry on Twitter and on social media, they will. But, and I just, going back on the goddamn mega editions of the game, it is just weird that like, not just Sony, but other game developers have done this in the past where it's like, oh, like it doesn't even come with like a physical version or the game to begin with of these, like super mega, Regala editions that cost like $200+.
Yeah, you think, because I told you this before we just started. if you're gonna buy the Mega Edition, that's like $207. You
Hmm.
think the collector would want the actual like physical game as well
Yeah,
as for
it's
their
called the
collection?
collector's edition for a reason, right?
Yeah, it really makes no sense to me. I'm like, why? Like, I'm pretty half and half for my games being digital or physical. Like, I could go either way.
Hmm.
But it's still really stupid. If I'm gonna buy the Mega Edition, I want the physical case, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, like they come with the steelbook, just no game in it, which is weird because it's
Which is
like,
stupid.
yeah,
Like,
it's
why?
like, I mean, the disc shouldn't be that much to print anyways because they're already printing millions of these to begin with, you know? So I don't know. It just seems a little weird that they're just like, here's a digital version of both versions of the game. I guess it's just, like I said, so they're sort of blocking that sort of path for those that buy the standard edition from upgrading to the PS5 version or whatever, you know, like, and, you know, this is just Sony, like you said, being greedy, being arrogant, sort of, you know, sort of being like, hey, you know, you guys aren't going to be mad at this, right? I hope not. But, you know, a lot of people are upset about this. And, you know, this is definitely something that should be talked about a little bit more because, you know, I was seeing some conversations on Twitter about it, but I was not paying attention about it, honestly. But, you know, now that I've looked deeper into this, it is definitely a little concerning, especially to those that are excited for Horizon Forbidden West, like us. But I feel like both of us we're not interested in these, you know, mega super editions, and we're both lucky enough to have PS5s. But obviously, if we
Yeah.
were in the situation where we didn't, it is definitely going to be a little weird. Where it's like, all right, well, if I want the game physically, I guess I have to buy whichever version I have at the moment. And then, you know, if I want to play it on the newer hardware, I'm just going to have to rebuy it again, which is, you know, a little fucked up, honestly. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a giant mess.
Hmm. Like, and I believe on the FAQ for PlayStation, they said that there was no way to upgrade the sort of going from standard to digital deluxe edition or whatever. If I recall correctly, just give me a second to look that up. But yeah, it just seems a little out of whack that is. Yeah, so there are no plans to an upgrade offer from standard to digital deluxe edition at this time, which, you know, that's just dumb.
I just feel like it's not worth like the extra like $20 they get, or $10. Like, is it really worth the bad like will and press just for like some more money? Like, it's not even that much more. You know what I mean? Like, they
Hmm.
probably would make more money if it's just a free upgrade.
Yeah, and you know, Jesus Christ, I don't even know why like Sony would even do this because this is 100% not Gorilla, like 100%. Like they're just making the game. You know, Sony is being the one that's like, all right, so how are we gonna do this upgrade thing? What if we like, you know, like try to be sneaky about it, you know, and like. I think that it is also just weird that like the special edition just doesn't even offer that to begin with. Like there's two different versions of the special edition for the PS4 and the PS5, but you know those versions of the game obviously come with the physical version of the game, so it's not gonna have the free upgrade or whatever because Sony just doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah, it's just really weird, and I hope they really take this backlash to account and like either fix this game, make it like normal where you can upgrade for free, or they fix it with the next game because like it's starting to get really annoying.
And like I don't even know if there's like a proper way to like quote unquote boycott this because like you don't want to punish Gorilla for something that Sony did, right? So
Yeah.
you still want to buy the game, but it's like, all right, if you have a PS4 but you know you're gonna get a PS5 eventually, what are you gonna do? Well, I guess my quick advice would just be like buy the PS4 version, and then when you eventually get the PS5, if you still want to play it on the PS5, you can sell it, trade it, do what you got to do with that physical copy, and then just put that money towards the $70 version of Horizon Forbidden West. You know, just like don't buy these like super Omega editions where you're forced to buy it to get both versions of the game. Obviously, like that is like the financially sort of like smart move to do, but even then like you're paying Sony twice. So like this is obviously like a very like tricky situation, you know. Obviously, I didn't think about this situation fully through, or this solution I should say, but you know, like this is obviously like a very tricky scenario where, you know, the sort of publisher, aka PlayStation, is sort of like, you know, fucking over Gorilla here.
Yeah, it is a tricky situation if you like how to handle it. We just gotta hope Sony kind of just come to the senses and just be like, okay, we'll not do like this greedy shit anymore. But
Hmm.
Are they gonna do it? Probably not. I mean, PS5 is still like is selling really well. Just they're not meeting the demand for it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know if they're gonna stop, but I guess just keep tweeting at them. Hopefully they stop, because I really don't know any other way to make it stop. But again, we're both lucky because we have a PS5, so we could just get the PS5 version. But it's still like really obnoxious, you
Yeah.
know.
Especially, to a vast majority of people who don't have a PS5 yet and want to play this game, So, yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. And hopefully Sony does reverse this sort of decision that they made without like officially announcing it, just sort of burying it in their like FAQ about, oh, yeah, you can't upgrade from the PS4 to the PS5 version. You aren't, quote unquote, entitled to that or whatever. So dual entitlement is what they call it. So, yeah. I'm sure that it's gonna change, hopefully, but if PlayStation / Sony want to be douchebags, they'll just not listen.
Which is probably what will happen.
Truing. Anyways, next bit of news is PlayStation Showcase is next Thursday, September 9th. Usually I don't put news like this on here just because it's like, oh, it's going to happen next week. But there are a couple of things that, have been circling around the news. One in particular, Sly 5. There was a thing about, I think it was like 4chan or some bullshit that was like, hey, like Sly 5's in early development. My source says this and that. And then, I just want to like get my sort of like 2 cents out there about another Sly Cooper game. And, like, obviously I love Sly Cooper. Like, that is literally my childhood platformer game right there. And, say what you will about Sly 4, Sanzaru Games love that series and they put a lot of work and effort into making that game what it is today. And sort of hearing about Sly 5 being in development and seeing people on Twitter, seeing Sly Cooper trend on certain days when like Insomniac dropped that image of, him going through the portal and everything like that, I love seeing that there's still love and support out for Sly Cooper, but a Sly 5 happening, I'm still holding my breath on it. Obviously, like if it gets announced, I won't like have internet access when the showcase happens because I'll be on a flight. But if it gets announced and I see it on Twitter, you fucking know that I will be 100% excited for it. Even if it looks like shit, I'm gonna be honest. Like I just love Sly Cooper that much, and anything Sly Cooper related after 4, it has been very like sort of hit or miss. We got that movie announcement that silently got canceled, and then there was like a Netflix TV show that was supposed to happen with that same studio, but I don't know what the hell's going on with that. But details of a Sly 5 are obviously very exciting for a Sly Cooper fan myself, but will it happen? Who the hell knows? Because at this point, I feel like Sly Cooper fans are sort of just like drawing straws at this point, or grasping at nothing or whatever. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
I think it's a good time for Sly to come back, because when Sly 4 came out, 3D platformers were kind of like dead.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Like it came out right. I think the PS4 was just about to come out, or it did came out.
It literally came out at the end of the PS3's lifespan.
Yeah, so Sly 5 and like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, not Rift Apart, Into the Nexus both kind of got like fucked a bit because they were like, oh, let's release them at the end of the PS3 gen when no one gives a crap. And they were both 3D platform. Like, obviously, Ratchet has a bigger IP name at this point, but Sly was kind of just sent to die, I feel. If they just held Sly 4 for the beginning of the PS4 gen, I feel like it would have done better. But also, the current climate is way different now. I think gaming is a lot more diverse, honestly. And, we had like 2, or I guess even like Crash, I know like it's not great timing because, Vicarious Visions kind of died. But, Crash 4 came out last year. We got Ratchet and Psychonauts 2 came out this year. Both did pretty well, as, considering. And I don't know. I think the world is ready for another like big 3D platformer. Like those are like 2 big 3D platformers that came out this year, and I think Sly 5 has a place now. So hopefully it comes out. I would definitely love it. I love Sly as well. At least Sly gets acknowledged. Jack and Daxter are kind of just dead forever, which is fine. Honestly, I have more of a childhood attachment, obviously, to Ratchet and Clank, but also Jack and Daxter because I also played it as a kid. But I definitely would think Jack is the weakest out of the 3. But it would be nice to see them come back. But yeah, a Sly 5, that would be really cool. I really hope it happens.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment about, the gaming landscape is definitely a lot different from what it was back in, like 2013 when Sly 4 came out or whatever. So, that is like a very good point to bring up. And I'm just looking at the sort of like tweet replies. Some people are asking for a Jack and Daxter remake collection or something like that, and I believe the date for this showcase falls on Crash's 25th anniversary, so who knows, they might announce another Crash game. But I'm holding my breath on that because Activision is kind of like up in flames right now.
Yeah.
But if we get like a remake or something with Sly Cooper, like I will 100% be very excited for that because I will give me another excuse to play through the games again. But yeah, I mean, since our games got eaten up by Oculus, I believe, so they are 100% not going to be developing a Sly Cooper game anytime soon. And that was sort of like the last sort of like shot in the dark for me personally. So I don't know who's going to be developing this next Sly Cooper game. If it is Sucker Punch, that would be very exciting. But I doubt that. I feel like that they've moved on from Sly Cooper. They love, obviously, the raccoon, but they have sort of been very open about, being like, hey, like, we know Sly's still around, but they are sort of like Naughty Dog, but like Naughty Dog actually attempted Jack 4, but they went like too realistic and too edgy for their own good and sort of like scrapped that project of Jack 4 to begin with. But yeah, I mean, there's also the discussion about people hoping for some Spider-Man 2 stuff, maybe like a teaser or something like that. And yeah, I mean, this isn't a state of play, so I think that expectations for this PlayStation Showcase are a lot higher, which is understandable. But then again, when it comes to these press events and these sort of like conferences or whatever, I always keep my expectations very low, just so, if something does get announced and it's very exciting, I can actually get excited about it and not sort of like temper my expectations, if you will. But, Spider-Man 2, obviously Miles Morales did very well for Insomniac Games and also for Miles Morales as a character. So, seeing anything Spider-Man related for the PS5 would be very cool as well. But, other than that, I'm not sure exactly what else to expect from the PlayStation Showcase, honestly.
I'll probably expect like a deeper look into God of War, like an actual like trailer for it instead of just a logo. I think that's pretty realistic to come up with. I would like to see a new Final Fantasy 16 trailer as well. I'd like to see like an actual release date because for Yoshi P, the guy who made, or not made, but a guy who basically made Final Fantasy 14 is super involved with 16 because he's like the main, I think, producer or director, I forget. And he basically said all the English voiceover is done and like the story is almost done and stuff. Like, so like I think realistically it could come out the end of next year. So I would like a trailer, but besides that, those are the only two things I could realistically see being there. Maybe like a tease for Naughty Dog's like multiplayer thing, because I think they're working on some multiplayer thing now. So maybe like a little teaser for that. But besides that, I'm expecting a lot of other third-party stuff to show up, some smaller indie stuff, like maybe a lot of updates for games we still haven't seen yet. And some of the other showcases, they might show that as well. But that's kind of what I'm expecting. Maybe Spider-Man 2 for like a last big bang, like to show like just a small little teaser. But I don't suspect that game to come out for a bit either, because Insomniac just like, I mean, they did Miles and then Ratchet Rift Apart, so like they've been busy. I know Insomniac's always pretty busy, but yeah, it'd be pretty insane if they were to release Spider-Man 2 like next year. But yeah, those are about my expectations for it. I think I'm keeping them pretty low on the ground. I'm mostly expecting a God of War thing, honestly. So
yeah, God of War, Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah.
I think that those two are sort of like shoo-ins, hopefully. This is a PS5 showcase, so it's going to be mostly big and small PS5 titles. So, Sly Cooper could be one of the small ones, but I'm once again holding my breath on that. Not going to sort of, expect that per se, because I've been saying a new Sly Cooper game is going to be at E3 every single year, and it doesn't happen, but it is what it is. So this PlayStation Showcase, it happens next week. Hopefully we do get some pretty spicy and interesting titles for people to enjoy.
Yeah, and probably make people actually like not regret the PS5 purchase.
I mean, yeah,
I don't regret it. I use it, but
yeah, I mean, I use it a lot for like movies and streaming services, but for the games, I've only played the two Insomniac titles, which are Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man.
Yeah, Insomniac is really carrying right now. So.
They're carrying them right now, but we'll move on from there into our recent activities. So I'll let you go first because we're still within the gaming sphere, and you got all games and I got anime and manga.
All right, so like I was alluding to before, I played the Ghost of Tsushima Iki Islands DLC. And before I get into the actual DLC, I just want to explain the process of upgrading it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I paid $30 to upgrade my PS4 version to the PS5 version. And unlike some of the other games I had to do this for, so Final Fantasy Remake is a good example. I would have to download all of Final Fantasy Remake, like the PS4 version, launch that on my PS5, put a upload save to the cloud server. So I did that, uninstalled that version, and then installed the PS5 version. Then I could play my save data. So pretty annoying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you gotta download two giant files. For Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch was like, okay, you could just use like the normal cloud saving thing on PlayStation Now or Plus, whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I downloaded the PS5 version of Ghost of Tsushima, and for some reason I was missing like 5 hours for my save data. Like I didn't beat the con and a lot of the other end game side missions for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to like do like at least 5 hours of content again for some reason in the base game. And I'm kind of just saying that that's just like, all right. So like Steam, right? Steam is
Mm-hmm.
free. Steam, I don't need to pay for cloud saves, and it saves everything perfectly. For Sony, I need to pay for PS Plus, and you can't even do the cloud saving right. And that's the thing I'm mostly paying for is your cloud saving, and you can't even do that right. I don't even know what happened. Like I don't know why it didn't save correctly. Last time I played the game on like last year, like I had PS Plus all this time, and it just didn't save until when I beat the game for some reason. So yeah, that was really annoying. And then I could finally play the DLC. So yeah, it was kind of annoying. But anyway, so in terms of the DLC itself, it was really good. It's basically more Ghost of Tsushima. So if you like Ghost of Tsushima, you will like this DLC as well. It doesn't really do a whole lot different. Introduces like two new enemy types. There's like these shamans that like enhance other units that are like really annoying. So you have to like kill them first before anyone else. And then they have this really cool enemy type that switches between all the different weapon types, like swords, spears, and stuff. So I thought that was pretty neat. The story is actually pretty interesting. It goes a lot into Jin's backstory, mostly about his father, which
Mm-hmm.
you don't really learn too much about him in the base game, besides like the side quest to get his armor. I don't know. I think that was a main quest. I can't remember. But yeah, so you don't really know much about his father in the base game. In this game, you learn a lot more about him and like how it shaped Jin as a character. And I thought all that stuff was really interesting. I think at first I didn't think Jin was the most interesting character in Ghost of Tsushima, like as just like a main character. But over time, I started to grow to like him a lot. And I think this DLC does a lot to help, his character as well as it enforces the idea of like being the ghost and why it's important for him to sort of be different and not just like a normal samurai. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was pretty neat. I think all the story beats in this expansion helps Jin's character further, so that's really nice. But besides that, all the side content, all the like normal missions, it's basically more Ghost of Tsushima. Like if you like the game, there's no reason not to get this. Basically, it's just like more content. Like it took me about like 7 hours to beat
Oh,
it,
that's pretty
cause
good.
yeah, cause that was me doing all the map though. Like
Oh, okay.
if you just beeline the main story, it's probably gonna like 2 hours. Like it probably isn't long if you're just going for the main story, but I don't do that, so I just
Mm-hmm.
did everything else, and I didn't even finish 100%ing it yet. But yeah, I think a lot of side missions were also entertaining and fun. Like there's some characters that show up in the base game in this game, and it's just pretty entertaining. And yeah, I'm just trying to think of. I guess the map is a little more. Has a little more verticality to it, so there's a lot more cliffs and like places to go. Because in the base game, the map is very just horizontal. It's very flat, right? There's not much verticality in it unless it's like a jumping puzzle. The Iki Islands definitely add a little more verticality to the map, which is kind of nice. It sort of changes it up to be different from the Tsushima, so that's cool. And besides that, you also get a new horse upgrade, which you can like charge at people, which is really fun. So when you're on your horse, you can just hold L1 and just ram everyone. That's pretty entertaining. But yeah, besides that, not much to say. Besides, there's more Ghost of Tsushima, and if you like Ghost of Tsushima, you will like this. I definitely think it's worth the price. The upgrade to the PS5 version, again, really annoying. I wish it wasn't like that, but it is what it is at this point. So next, Psychonauts 2. So I'm probably just gonna say that this might be my game of the year right now. I think it beats
Okay.
Ratchet and Clank in terms of just how perfect of a sequel I think it is. It literally captures everything I loved about the first game, and just does it in the modern day. Like it feels like if you told me the sequel came out a year after, I would believe you because of how much it like keeps the spirit of the original game. All the voice actors are the same. The art style is basically the same. Obviously, it looks nicer now, like a little bit. and it controls a bit better than it used to in like 2005. But all of it just feels so authentic, and like so much care was put into it. Like I'm like impressed of how much of a perfect sequel this is. It started giving me vibes of like Ratchet and Clank 1 to 2, right? Like that's basically a perfect sequel. Like everything about 1 that was bad, they made it better in 2 and still kept that same spirit. That's basically
Hmm.
how I feel about this game as well. I think the story continues perfectly on from the first game. Obviously the first game ends in a cliffhanger, and this game does a good job sort of like, continuing that story and expanding on it. I'm gonna compare this to Ratchet and Clank a lot just because it's convenient for me.
Hmm.
Um, so you know how Ratchet and Clank, like the backstories could feel a little like out of left field. So in the future games, the PS3 games for Ratchet and Clank, they sort of add a lot of lore and backstory, but it feels like it comes out of nowhere.
Hmm.
This game kind of does the same thing, except it doesn't feel like it comes out of nowhere because a lot of it is kind of set up in the first game as well. Like obviously it's not too expanded on because they have other things to focus on in the first game in terms of story. But in this game, they really explore all those plot points that they bring up in the first game, and just expand on it, and it feels really natural, and I like that a lot because I think adding more lore and backstory to stuff could always be a little cumbersome while it feeling forced, right?
Hmm.
I think this game does a great job just naturally fitting it. Honestly, there's gonna be some stuff is like, oh, okay, I guess, but I think for the most part, it does it really well. And I didn't expect the story to be more of like a lore backstory thing. I thought it was gonna go in a totally different direction, but I think it worked out really well. I think this game's story is a little more heartfelt than the first game. The first game is a little more cynical about how I handled a lot of things, but this game still has that cynical nature to it, but it was a little more heartfelt and took itself a little more seriously than the first game. And I think it worked out for the things they were trying to tackle in this game. Obviously it deals with like mental issues, but it never does it in a way that's like too depressing because it's not really a kids game. It's very teen and stuff, but it handles it in a more lighthearted way. That's how I say.
Hmm.
And the reason why I'm focusing on story a lot is because Psychonauts is pretty interesting because it really does blend sort of platforming and adventure, like point and click adventure stuff. So like the story is a pretty big part of this game and with the first game. And I think the game story was great. I think the writing was just as good as the first game, and I just enjoyed it through and through. I thought it was a fantastic sequel in terms of that. In terms of gameplay, I think the worlds were all really good. The levels feel a lot better in a platforming sense. I think the levels aren't as crazy as the first game because the first game you were doing a lot of different shit, right? Like it got weird. And as a result, I don't think the levels in the second game are as memorable, but I think they're better as a platformer because again, in the first game it took a lot of different gameplay cues. Like you were doing a lot of different things, and usually I hate that in games. Like I've always mentioned, like I don't like it when games just change its gameplay style too much. But I think it works in Psychonauts 1 just because of how weird the game is in general and how it fits that person's mind. So it's like, okay, this makes sense in terms of in this context. In the second game, it definitely keeps it a lot more linear and a lot more as just a 3D platformer. And again, if you like 3D platformers, I think you will appreciate it more. I think it works a lot better. Um, and really, the only other negative thing I could really say about it is I think the ending does feel a bit rushed. And I feel like there probably was supposed to be like one more level or something, but that didn't happen. And like the ending just ends. It kind of just ends. And you have to talk to everyone for like a proper epilogue, which was a little lame. But besides that, it was everything I could ask for. Like it is so goddamn good. It's so creative. It's so good. It kept the spirit of the original one alive. It's basically everything I asked for, and I'm very happy. If Double Fine messed this up, I was gonna be very sad because it's been years since they made like a really good game, and it's been years since the original Psychonauts. So I was like, please, please let this game be good, and I think they delivered super well. The game is also pretty beefy. It took me like 20 hours to beat it, but that was just because I was getting a lot of things. I didn't 100% it, but I was very close to 100%ing it in my first run. So now I'm just going back and collecting everything I missed. So yeah, it's quite beefy if you want to get everything, and I think you should because the game is very good. Another good thing about the game, it's on Game Pass. So if you're not too sure about it, you can just pay for like $15 for Game Pass. It's on Xbox and on PC Game Pass. So if you just want to give it a shot, you could just download it for $15 basically. So yeah, definitely recommend it if you're a fan of 3D platformers. I will also recommend the first game a lot because I think it's a fantastic game as well. And usually that game is like $1. So definitely recommend both of these games. Really amazing. And right now I think it's my game of the year. The only other game I can see beating it is Endwalker when that comes out, but we'll see. And last, I have Pokemon Ultra Moon. I kind of just been in a Pokemon mood since the Pokemon Direct thing happened.
Hmm.
And this is like the only mainline Pokemon game I haven't played yet. For context, I really like Sun and Moon. I think it's the best out of the 3D Pokemon games. X and Y I think is shit, and Sword and Shield, Sword and Shield is very meh. I think the DLCs make it a bit better, but it's still like just whatever. Sun and Moon I think really is just a great game. Like I think the just like how Gen 5 was, I think the game focuses a lot more on story, which is weird because you don't expect that from a Pokemon game either. But I think it did it really well. I know a lot of people don't like the cutscenes or like, oh, it's too many cutscenes or whatever. But I'm like, these are still JRPGs at the end of the day, right? Like, I'm okay with Pokemon games having a little more substance and just beat every gym. Like, I've done that for like 5, 6 generations. Like, I'm okay with having a little different of a formula here. And just the region itself, like the Alolan region, is just very nice to explore. I really like the multiple islands. I guess I just like the island setting because I grew up playing Hoenn, which was all too much water or whatever. Um, and yeah, I just really like the vibrant Hawaii theme of the island as well. Ultra Moon, I mean, it's basically the same thing except like they ruined the story. So they ruined the thing that I kind of like the most about this region, but that's okay because I think there's a lot more features in this game that make up for it. Like you can like surf and some other stuff, a lot more endgame stuff that I haven't gotten into yet. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, basically it's Pokemon. I really like Gen 7. Not really much else to say about it besides if you haven't played a Pokemon game in a while and you want to play one of the newer games, I would definitely recommend Sun and Moon, base Sun and Moon, because I think that game really holds up and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's about all I've been playing.
All right. Well, I've not been playing anything. I have been watching a lot of bullshit. So let me just talk about. Well, first off, there was it was an anime season 3 announced, teasing Master Tagaki-san, and that shit had me hyped because obviously I had no idea if it was getting a season 3 because of how season 2 ended, and on top of that, it got a movie announcement. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing with the season 3 and a movie, but people are speculating that it's gonna be sort of like new stuff, unlike with the manga, because the manga is like the same old sort of like, oh, she teases Nishikata and like shit happens in like different
Right.
scenarios or whatever. So it looks like the anime is gonna sort of go into the spin-off where like they're older and they have like a kid or whatever. So maybe the movie will
Whoa.
go into that. Oh yeah. That is a spin-off. It's not officially like translated into English, so it's not in print. So I haven't read a lot of it, but I've read like a couple chapters here and there online. But moving on from there, Komi can't communicate the manga. I'm currently all caught up with the sort of like print run of it. So I am 195 chapters in, 14 volumes deep, and I still love it. It is so good. It is just about Komi, who has a speech disorder. She can't talk to people, and she just goes on these different adventures, these different things. You get to learn about her family, other characters. She has a lot of like very colorful and very distinct people around her, which is fun to see and watch. And yeah, like I said, there is a anime adaptation coming out later this year as well. I believe like next month or something like that. So it's very soon, and it looks pretty good. So yeah, Komi can't communicate. I am in love with it. I cannot wait for more volumes of it to be printed out. Because I'm very much tempted to just read it online and just sort of like binge read it and just like catch up with where it is right now. But I think I'm gonna try to hold myself against that and not do that. Zom 100 is a manga about this guy who works his 9 to 5 job, and then the zombie apocalypse happens, and then he sort of has a bucket list of things that he wants to do because now he doesn't have a job and he doesn't have to worry about that shit. So yeah, it's very funny. It's very sort of shonen like, where it's like it's just about this fucking guy doing sort of random shit in a zombie apocalypse setting. So if you've consumed anything that is zombie related, like Walking Dead or anything like that, you should be familiar with how this is gonna go in a sense. But like, this is a manga about this guy who really just wants to get his bucket list of things done. So there is that twist about it, and it does have some very funny and comedic moments because of it. But yeah, I've only read the first 2 volumes, and I believe the 3rd volume recently just came out. But yeah, it's fun. There was nudity. Like I was reading this in the school library, and then tits just popped out, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" So I just had to quickly read through those pages and just get past that. But that shit was definitely like, "Whoa, what the fuck's going on here?" But yeah, Zom 100. If you know what you're getting into, you'll have a good time with it. I'm not like 100% like in love with this manga in particular, but I know what I'm getting into. It's fun. It's, whatever. After the Rain, I finished the last, I believe it was like 2 episodes that I needed to watch. And yeah, it's very good. Like I said, it is a anime about this girl who falls in love with her sort of manager who's like 40 something and she's like 17. I know it's kind of Manga, but like it's wholesome. It's cute.
Very
And
wholesome.
I mean, like he doesn't like her like that, so like
Okay.
she's just trying to figure out like what it means to be in love and shit like that. And like there's other things about the girl character's sort of story, and there's other things about the guy character's story that you get to learn as well. Like for example, he wanted to be a writer, he wanted to write books, but he found himself in this fucking restaurant management job that he just does 9 to 5, sort of like a dead end job. And like she loved to race on track. That was her thing. She's a really good runner, but she faced a sort of injury that prevented her from doing that. So now she works more, and she obviously gets close with the manager character, etc., etc. And there's other things about her story in particular that I don't want to spoil, but those parts of the story that involve her school life I really liked and really enjoyed. And I'm sure this doesn't cover all of the manga, because the manga is 10 volumes long, and this only had 12 episodes and only 1 season. So I'm definitely going to pick up the manga one of these days and hopefully see where the rest of the story goes, because I'm not going to say it ends on a cliffhanger, because it does end in a way that the anime is sort of able to sort of conclude these characters' sort of story and sort of give you guys a bigger picture onto what it means for the anime sort of title as After the Rain, because like there's like very like subtle messages about that and whatever if you watch other YouTube videos on it, because that's what I did, because I'm dumb and stupid, and I didn't pick up on those when I was watching it initially. But yeah, After the Rain, it's a very good anime, and I highly recommend it. It's only on Amazon, so I guess they snatched the rights for those, but it is very good to watch. It's only 12 episodes too. Moving on to something that is very fucking degenerate of me. Girlfriend. So this is a current sort of anime that is going on Crunchyroll. It's only 12 episodes long, and the premise is this guy, he gets a girlfriend, right? And then I guess like the same day or some shit, like this other girl, blue hair girl, confesses to him, and he's like, "Oh my god, bro, she's so fucking cute. Like, let me try to talk to my current girlfriend and see if I could date both of them at the same time." And she was like 100% against it, but like as I have been watching, I am only 1 episode behind now, because a new episode just aired today. So I am on episode 9. I thought that the redhead girl, what's her fucking name? Her name is Saki. I thought she was normal. And then episode 2 came around, and I was like, all right, no one in this show is fucking normal. So yeah, this is pretty much a fucking harem about this guy trying to date 2 girls at once. It's really trashy. It's really fucking, just like out there. It's very anime. I will say that. This shit would not work as like a live action thing at all.
No.
And on top of that, like the animation, like you can tell that like this shit is like on a quote unquote budget, because like they do certain things that'll like drag characters around and sort of like animate them in a certain way that like isn't, like animation, if you will. But this shit is just so trashy and so fucking stupid. I'm just like, I'm in it for the ride. It's sort of like when I was watching Domestic Girlfriend, but Domestic Girlfriend is on like another fucking level of like degen. Like this is sort of like in between there, if you will.
Right.
But yeah, girlfriend, like, I wanted to just watch something that was currently serializing right now on the sort of like seasonal anime, and this was the only one that really caught my eye, because it just sounds fucking ridiculous, and it is. So yeah, if you know what you're getting into, just like with Zom 100, you can have a good time with this. This shit is funny at times, because I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? But it is definitely trashy. It is definitely something that I would not recommend to everyone. But if you want to see cute anime girls fall in love with this fucking hentai looking ass protagonist, go for it. And then last but not least, One Piece. I have been watching a lot of One Piece because Kofi has been fucking telling me to watch One Piece, and every single time we're on Discord, he wants me to put on One Piece, and I'm like, fuck it, why not? I'll put on One Piece because One Piece is fucking good. One Piece is so goddamn good. It is actually ridiculous. How early on I am within the story. I'm only on episode 44, which is a very small amount because episode 990 is going to air in 2 days.
Oh my god.
So yeah, obviously I have a long ways to go, but just from like this first couple of arcs that I've been watching and seeing these characters and seeing their story, I love it. Like One Piece is so goddamn good, and I'm sure it gets better from here on out because literally that's what everyone says. People who read the manga, people who watch the anime, they only say it gets better from here, which is kind of fucking crazy, but you know, so far so good. I really like the characters. My favorite one so far is Sanji. But you know, I'm sure that will change over time. Luffy is a fucking dumbass, like I said last episode. This motherfucker, bro, he is so dense, but like he just does some cool shit too. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But you know, One Piece is One Piece. You know, start watching it if you want, but like I said, it's like 900 fucking episodes. So you know,
Yeah, that's a lot.
yeah, it's gonna be a while before I fucking catch up, if I ever catch up, you know. But moving on from there, we will get into the Marvel What If, sort of two new episodes, episode 3 and 4. We're gonna talk about spoilers because they are very quick and sort of easy episodes to watch on Disney Plus, and I feel like it would be very hard to discuss them without spoilers. So the first episode was Avengers, pretty much all of them just dying, and then the other one was Doctor Strange being a mega simp is what I wrote. Which is true, he was being a fucking mega simp, but
He was being a big simp.
First we'll talk about the sort of like concept of the Avengers just all dying out, which I thought was a pretty cool angle. Honestly, like I think that this might be my second favorite episode, right behind sort of the still like Captain Carter. I still like Captain Carter just because it plays very campy and very safe with the sort of like Marvel What If stuff. But the Avengers sort of all dying out, you know, once Tony Stark hit the fan, I was like, all right, some shit's going on here. So what did you think?
I thought it was a cool angle to go through because, you know, start having this whole murder mystery angle to it. Like you didn't know who's really doing it. And it makes sense too because, you know, Nick Fury would have a list of all the potential like Avenger candidates, I guess. He's like, okay, I'm gonna try to get this guy or whatever, and then just, you know, someone just killing them all. I think that's a really interesting angle to go through. Like the Avengers just never started up because they all died, like pretty awfully too. Like Hulk just exploding. I'm like, oh my god,
yeah. That was kind of crazy because I think on top of that, that also shows that like because the way like that scene plays out, Bruce Banner, like that scene, that is like in the middle of like the Incredible Hulk, so that also tells me that like the way the timeline in the MCU goes is that Iron Man 2 and the Incredible Hulk, both movies are sort of happening at the same time, during the same time, if you will. So like I didn't know that, so that was kind of cool to see. But also there's like a bunch of other sort of like little Easter eggs and hidden things that if you watch all of the Marvel movies, you would know. So like, you know, Nick Fury sort of pulling out the sort of Captain Marvel thing and what's his name being like, is that a fucking beeper? Like what the hell?
Yeah, so, is that beeper?
Yeah, but you know, seeing all of them die in ways that I was just like, what the hell is going on? And then when Black Widow, you know, when she was in that library scene and, you know, she was just fighting someone that was invisible, I didn't think about like the Ant-Man stuff, but
Me either.
Know, that sort of angle sort of came into fruition, obviously, when he was revealed, and I was like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. And, you know, Hope, I guess she died. I honestly wish that they were able to explain what mission she went on that caused her death, because I think that would have been very interesting, because we already know that like his wife died during on a sort of like shield mission or whatever, but you know, Hope dying, you know, because she is a sort of like prominent character within the MCU. I wanted to know exactly how that all played out.
Yeah, I think it would have been better to just kind of explain what happened there. Maybe just like Nick Fury would just explain it, like, oh, this is what happened or whatever. But, you know, obviously they're 30-minute episodes, so they can't do everything at once, which makes sense. And I usually think the What If episodes do a good job sort of condensing all this in 30 minutes. I think it feels pretty good. But some explanation there would have been nice. But yeah, I didn't expect him to be the murderer. You know, I'm like, oh, I guess it makes sense. And I
Yeah.
thought it was like I thought it was what's her face from the Fantastic Four just because it was the invisible like lady.
Oh, the Invisible Woman. Holy shit,
Yeah.
that would have been crazy. I think that if they brought the Fantastic Four in like instantly for like a animated MCU thing, I think that that shit would have been trending on Twitter in some way. But that would have been hilarious. But yeah, I think that the original Ant-Man sort of having his Joker moment was kind of
It's
interesting and
Joker.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, just seeing all of the Avengers die one by one, literally Thor just getting hit with a fucking arrow right in the heart. I was like, oh shit, like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he just got one tap. Like you think you'd be a little more resilient than that. Like, I'm sure, Thor got like punched around like a lot. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure he could survive an arrow to the heart.
Yeah. But, I think that the way that the show has been animated so far is, sort of standard, is sort of what I would expect after watching the previous two episodes. Nothing too crazy, nothing too flashy, still that cell shaded sort of style, but still using CGI animation, which works for me, as long as it's, it, as long as it doesn't look terrible, which I think that, because Disney is putting so much money into a lot of their Disney Plus stuff, this show does look the way it does, and it doesn't look terrible, in my opinion, still.
Yeah, I think it looks alright still. Like, some things look a little stilted and stiff, but it's kind of what I expect. I'm not expecting like the most amazing animation out there. Just expecting some like okay fight scenes and some okay just dialogue, like them talking. Like, I think for the most part, it hits it pretty okay. But yeah, I thought this episode, the Avengers dying, was pretty good. But honestly, I think the next episode might be my favorite one, just
Hmm.
because it was ReZero. Like, and I'm like, this is
Yeah.
pretty sick.
I
I
mean,
kind of like this.
Doctor Strange sort of the concept of him losing the one that he loved instead of his hands. I thought that that was like a pretty good start, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna fucking turn evil, isn't he? Because I already saw like action figures of the sort of Doctor Supreme or whatever, so I was like,
Yeah.
oh okay, he's gonna fucking turn evil and shit. But obviously, how does he do that? That was a sort of whole other process, and this episode, it is definitely up there. I think that it might be my number three. It could be number one if I, were to sort of put it into context of all of the episodes currently. But Doctor Strange as a character, he's always been the sort of he works best when he's not in his own movie. I think
Right.
his solo movie was fine in my opinion. I didn't think that it was amazing or anything, but when he was sort of like in Thor and the Avengers movies, I think that he did like a fantastic job sort of like being those sort of like support characters while also being smart, witty, and sort of being Doctor Strange. And in this episode, seeing him sort of see Christine just die over and over again. That shit had me rolling. I'm gonna be honest. I was laughing
Oh
so
yeah.
many times. I was like, bro, he's trying to save her so fucking bad, man. Oh my god.
I
And
just
then
like it when
no,
I
go.
just like yeah, I like it when he just leaves her alone and she dies anyway.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
oh my god.
he's like fuck it. I'm gonna just stand her up, and then he's fucking watching the news, and then he just dips out of there. I'm like, oh my god, bro. She's just destined to die, and like that shit was just so fucked up. Just to like have him go through that, like however many fucking times that he went through, because when he was like, let's just stay in and have some pizza, and then they actually go and have some pizza, and then someone just pulls up with a fucking gun. I was like, oh my god. This guy cannot
Yeah,
catch a break.
I kind of just like shows. I'm gonna sound like a psycho, but I
Hmm.
kind of like shows or movies or whatever that show a character like going through like a breaking point where they just can't handle things anymore. Like ReZero with Subaru does that really really well. Evangelion also does that really well. And yeah, I think this one also does it pretty good to a certain extent. Like just seeing them totally break down and there's no easy way out. So
Hmm.
like they try thinking they're going for the easy way out, but kind of just screws them over in return. I just really like seeing that because not a lot of things do that because you generally you want a happy ending for things, right?
Hmm.
And I was really afraid this episode was going to end in a happy ending, which I didn't want because it's called
Hmm.
What If. It doesn't have to end happy, it could
Yeah.
end just like badly. So I'm really happy that they cop out. I'm happy the good Doctor Strange lost in the end, and he was just made to like face his consequences. And I think him being able to sense the Watcher and like talk to him and beg for him to like give him a way out was super cool. Like it was such
Yeah.
a dark way to end that episode because he's like he knows someone is up there that could maybe help him, but he can't because that would obviously destroy the multiverse or whatever. And he just there in like that shell, just like alone. I'm like, dude, that was great. I love that. I know I'm like a psycho, but like that, I don't know why that was really good. I really enjoyed this episode a lot because it didn't cop out with a happy ending, and I just really enjoyed that. Because if you're gonna go for a what if, I want to see things like this. I want to see things end badly. I want to see things end differently. You know, it doesn't have to end with heroes winning. You know, this is not canon. Who cares? So.
Yeah, I think that the Doctor Strange versus Doctor Strange fight, you know, the good one, I was like, bro, this motherfucker got like no experience. This guy has been literally day in, day out, like centuries, he said, like doing like whatever the fuck he was doing with like sucking up
demons.
He was sucking demons and shit. And I was like, yeah, this guy's like fucking strong. Like there's no way he loses, right? So, you know, when he did win, I was like, all right, let's see what the fucking consequence is going to be. And then, you know, when Christine woke up and saw the fucking Doctor Strange being all a fucking monster, and then her start to like disappear or whatever the hell was happening there, and this sort of world actually get destroyed because that's what literally everyone was fucking telling him, is like, yo, she has to die, bro. And yeah, I just think that, like you said, just seeing that sort of like the Watcher actually become a character like towards the end of this episode was pretty cool. Seeing him be like, hey, yo, you know, like you put yourself in this mess, you're good, bro. You know, like
later.
You knew what was going to happen. You knew the consequences. So I'm not going to be your sort of like way out. And yeah, I think that this episode did a very good job sort of like implementing like that what if to like the greatest extreme. And you know, when Doctor Strange was talking to himself, he's like, but we loved Christine. I was like, this guy's being a fucking simp, bro. Anyone listening to this, don't be like him. Don't be like him. It's not worth it.
Don't be a simp. Also, you know, end up, you know, devouring demons and being alone, I guess.
Oh my god. Because like I had no idea that he was doing that shit for centuries until like that guy that like he met at that library.
Yeah, got old.
Yeah, got old and died, and I was like, bro, well, I thought it was like a week. Like no cap. Like what the fuck? But yeah, you know, Doctor Strange turning evil, you know, because he lost the one that he loved, was a very interesting and really great sort of like what if scenario, and you know, definitely leaning towards my top 2 potentially episodes, honestly, now that I think about it.
Yeah, for me it's definitely my favorite so far, just because I like the darker angle to it, and I just like that it didn't cop out. That was my favorite thing, that it didn't cop out and like it just like ended like that, because I'm like, yeah, that was good. So yeah, that has definitely been my favorite so far.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know how many more episodes we got left within the Marvel What If, because I know that we still have the Zombie Hunter Spider-Man, which I think that a lot of people are going to watch just because it has Spider-Man in it. But, you know, however many episodes we got left, I think that Marvel What If so far has been a very interesting show, and I think that anyone that likes the Marvel MCU stuff should definitely watch it if they haven't already. So,
yep. Same.
All right, so last bit of news. I'm not sure how long we're going to be talking about this shit, because, you know, there's a lot to unpack here, despite it being a sort of like 2 to 3 minute teaser trailer. The Spider-Man No Way Home teaser trailer has been officially revealed. So my first question is, Damian, did you watch the leak?
I actually did watch the leak. I
am also guilty.
Yeah, okay.
Because, you know, I saw it on Twitter, and, you know, it was there, so I was like, well, let me watch this shitty fucking, you know, like someone recording a phone off of another phone, you know, and have like the watermarks or whatever and like the unfinished CG. I was like, all right, let me just...
Spider-Man's like swinging through the N64 in New York. Yeah.
You know, just let me see what this, you know, trailer sort of like has the sort of gist of it. And, you know, the leak was true. Pretty much what we saw with like the live action stuff with like Peter. I really like the fact that like they are sort of honing in or sort of having Peter live in this world where like his identity is like 100% known, you know, because I felt like that because we were getting the Spider-Verse angle, it wasn't going to happen like fully, if you will, like he might have been in like hiding like to begin with, but the fact that he's still like living his like high school day-to-day life like for a little bit within this movie before they start doing the crazy multiverse stuff with Doctor Strange, I think is going to be very fun and very interesting to watch.
Yeah, but okay, because it's been a bit since I watched Far From Home. What do they actually have like hard evidence that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, or they're just saying, oh, he's Spider-Man? Like, is it? I forget. Did he record him like web slinging and shit? Like I forgot.
He just said that like his his real name is Peter Parker, and like, you know, just showed a picture of Peter. So I guess now he's being attacked, and his friends and family are being attacked, and sort of what's it called? You know, publicly sort of on
shaming him, or not shaming him, but like
publicly shaming, publicly on
gawking at him, I guess,
display. Yeah. So, you know, like, I guess like that's gonna be a sort of angle, and you know, him being in that sort of scene with him being like, you know, I didn't do it, the drones did, and he was like, the drones you own. I was like, well, shit, you know.
Yeah, he got me there.
Kind of fucked.
But I definitely think it's gonna be interesting to see that for like at least the first bit of the movie, seeing him how he's dealing, like living in a world that everyone knows he's Spider-Man. I guess like, you know, because you know he's just, everyone's looking at him and it's like really weird. It's like, stop. Honestly, I don't think that's gonna be that long. It's probably only gonna be like the first like few minutes of the movie until he like just like, hey, Doctor Strange, help me out. So.
Yeah, and the scene where he's in the sort of police headquarters, you know, that guy on the right, supposedly people are thinking that might be Charlie Cox as Daredevil, but he has come out and said that those aren't his forearms, but he also said in another interview that, like, he can't say anything, you know, let's just wait and see, and I'm like, bro, kind of tiptoe in here, you know, Kevin Feige might be knocking on your door soon. But, you know, when I first saw the trailer for, like, the first couple of times when it initially came out, and I continued watching it because I was just that in love with the trailer, and, you know, I'm just fucking excited for the movie, you know, just, like, going frame by frame and shit like that, seeing people on Twitter sort of theorizing, you know, it could be Charlie Cox, who the fuck knows? It could also not be him. I'm not going to hold my breath to it, but I think that it would be very exciting to see him, especially since he is the sort of face of the Marvel Netflix shows, sort of intertwine with this MCU officially, because, you know, if you watch those shows, they mention of the event with New York and the Avengers and all of that other stuff, but they never directly sort of like intermix. So, you know, if we do get Charlie Cox in this movie, that would be fucking great. Even if it is just for like a cameo or like for like a split second, or even if he is Peter's lawyer, like that would be pretty dope. But yeah, like that's just my whole thing with it right now.
Yeah, if you just introduced him like just as a normal dude, I think that'd be pretty cool. Like, not even like have to acknowledge him too much, because this movie's gonna be packed with shit, right? Like, this movie's gonna have a lot of stuff already. So I would rather them not get too carried away with Daredevil. But if they could like just introduce him and then later do an MCU version of him. Well, I mean, I know the Netflix version technically is the MCU version, but like it's weird. Then yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But you know, I think there's a good chance he'll show up. But this freaking movie, man. This movie is just like so many things happening.
Literally, like a year ago, or whenever the rumors and sort of everything started happening, you know, we were both like, hey, you know, like this could happen. But now that like we see this teaser trailer, it's like, all right, a lot of this shit is like actually happening, which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, because it's like, you know, obviously later in the trailer we see a lot of things. So it's basically confirmed at this point that Toby and Andrew are going to show up. Like, I think at this point, like they have to at this point. You can't show things and them not showing up. You know what I mean? Like they're going to show up at this point. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just so much. Like, I'm just happy that this is all out in the open at this point, since, you know, we know that Toby's gonna show up. We know Andrew's gonna show up, and like, I guess what's his face? Who was the first person that leaked this? Fucking Jamie Foxx, right?
Oh
like,
my god, bro! Jamie Foxx, man, he was like, "I'm back," and then he had like a concept art with him as Electro, then the 3 Spideys, and then that shit got taken down. Yeah, Kevin Feige probably had his head quick, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was sort of like speculated and rumored since that fucking announcement, which is crazy. And, you know, some people were, you know, not expecting it 100% or whatever. But, you know, now that we see this trailer, you know, like, I mean, I believe there's like 5 villains that are sort of like teased in here. There's Electro, there's Sandman, Goblin, Doc Ock, and then you might be able to see the Lizard in like one shot. It's like very hard to see. But, you know, that's not, obviously nothing's confirmed yet. But, you know, this is obviously just a teaser trailer before we get a second and probably final trailer before this movie gets released in December. But, you know, everything that people have been dissecting and sort of going frame by frame and shit, you know, like this this movie's gonna be crazy. So
Yeah, I just got so hyped when I like those pumpkin bombs. Those are the Sam Raimi pumpkin bombs, dude. And obviously Doc Ock is the same dude from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Just yeah, he's
Alfred
like,
Maloney, that
Yep.
motherfucker cannot stop talking.
Hello, Peter.
Yeah,
And I mean, I'm suspecting he's not saying that to.
yes.
Yeah.
Some
He's
people
probably saying that to
some
Toby.
people are like, "Hey, yo, he's saying that shit to Toby," and then they just cut the trailer in a way where they show it's Tom Holland Spider-Man, which could be true. And also, with the whole like suit and stuff, it could be sort of like scenes with like the Iron Spider suit, because oh my god, Twitter's fucking crazy. People all of a sudden they just hate that suit, which is understandable because that suit has been around since Infinity War. So they've seen it in Infinity War, Endgame, Far From Home, and now this movie. So that's 4 movies in total, including this one, or not including No Way Home. So I guess this would be the 5th movie. They would see the Iron Spider suit in if you're not counting Homecoming, when they initially teased it. Anyways, people are sick and tired of the Iron Spider suit now. All of the sudden, in my opinion, I think that the suit itself, when it was first shown off like fully within Infinity War, I was fucking hyped, and I'm sure a lot of these Spider-Man haters that are like, yo, bro, I'm fucking tired of this suit, they were probably hyped when they saw it in Infinity War as well. Obviously, the suit might have stayed its welcome just a little bit too long, but I think that they're using the Iron Spider suit in these scenes for a reason. It might just be like a placeholder sort of thing, because they've done that in the past with, for example, Far From Home, the scene where he's talking to the sort of like homeless sort of charity thing that he was doing with Aunt May. It showed him in the regular Spidey suit and not in the Iron Spider suit. So, obviously Marvel CG, them playing with the fucking trailers and shit, that could obviously be at work here. But I think people are a little bit overreacting with the Iron Spider suit shit. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't mind. I like the Iron Spider suit because I think it looks cool, but it hasn't been overused a bit. Yeah, probably. But yeah, like you said, they've been pretty known to like alter trailers to like sort of like make it a mystery still. Like with Thanos, when it showed like the Infinity Gauntlet, he didn't have all the stones, and then I think in the full movie he already had all the stones on his like in the gauntlet. And obviously with what you just said with Far From Home, so obviously they altered the trailers so you won't know what's still coming. So that could easily be some other Spider-Man. It could be Toby, or it could be like Andrew Garfield or whatever. So yeah, that wouldn't really surprise me in the least. Obviously, didn't want to show everything at once. Maybe we'll get a final trailer that'll probably show Toby and be like, "Hey, I'm pizza time" or something like. You know what I mean? So like we probably will get that at some point. I highly doubt they're gonna save it, like make that whole mystery until the movie actually comes out. They're probably gonna blow their load and show Toby or Rami in the next trailer.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, just be patient. It's gonna happen. I'm just happy we finally got a trailer and it's confirming so many things that were speculated forever. And yeah, I'm just happy that we have all the classic Sam Raimi villains here. Like I can't wait to see Willem Dafoe as like Green Goblin. I want to see that. He's fucking awesome. So that'd be great.
I mean, just seeing all of these actors just back in their roles is obviously very exciting for a Spider-Man fan. And, I think that there will be a second trailer where they show Toby and Andrew in their suits or whatever, probably towards the end, because, Sony, when it comes to marketing their movies, they are very much known for like showing just a little bit too much. I remember with the Homecoming trailer, I believe it was like the second one where like they showed that, Tony was taking the suit away, and I was like, oh, now I know how this movie's gonna fucking end. Like he's gonna take the suit away, then he's gonna have to use his, shitty suit to sort of beat the Vulture, and obviously that's what happened. And not even with just the MCU Spider-Man stuff, they've done it with the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, where they showed like a lot of like trailers and different teasers, and like people were literally able to like piece those trailers together and like make the full movie, and it was kind of accurate to what the fuck was gonna happen. So I'm sure that Spider-Man No Way Home is gonna get a second trailer, and we're gonna see Toby and Andrew in their costumes, and that's gonna be hopefully as amazing as people are expecting it to be, because I think that you can't just throw these previous Spider-Man villains in there without having those Spider-Man attached to those villains, if you will. And yeah, like obviously I'm very much excited for this fucking movie, because it is just a lot of things that I think people have been sort of expecting and wanting because of the recent, I guess within like the recent like 5 years, people have been very nostalgic over Sam Raimi Spider-Man, Mark Webb Spider-Man, etc. So, seeing all three of them on screen, that shit's going to be great. Do I think that it should have been Spider-Man 3? Not necessarily. But, this is what Sony and Marvel wanted to do. And, they're 100% going to fucking break box office records because this trailer in and of itself broke the 24-hour record for like the most views of a single trailer. The Twitter trailer itself has like, I don't even know how many fucking millions of views. And that's actually insane to me personally, because I don't think that, or I didn't think that people watch movie trailers on Twitter as much as they did. But, when it comes to fucking Spider-Man, people will watch that shit. So
maybe because it circulated more. Like,
that's true.
You gotta see this shit. Yeah, I mean, it's just like a treat for us, mostly because we've been watching, the Spider-Man movies since the Sam Raimi movies came out. So it's gonna be really nice to see all this fan service and like Easter eggs and whatever else they have in this movie. It's just gonna be super nice to see. Obviously, do I think Tobey's my favorite Spider-Man, even though I grew up watching the movies? Probably not. But I certainly still have a lot of nostalgia for him, and it's just gonna be so nice to like sort of just see him on the big screen. I mean, we're all just assuming he's here because he's gonna be here at this point.
I mean, he kind of has to, right? I mean,
yeah, you can't show his villains.
Yeah. If he isn't, it is going to be very jarring to see these villains from his movies and he's not in it. Like, it just seems like he's got to be in it, right? Like, come on.
Yeah.
But, talking about, like, I guess, favorite Spider-Man, not to, like, get too in-depth into it, because I feel like at some point we're going to do, like, a Spider-Man movie tier list for this podcast. But, me personally, I don't have a favorite. I think that they all do the role better, or they all play Spider-Man well and Peter Parker well. It's just some do it just a little bit better than others. Even Andrew Garfield, despite what the sort of Mark Webb movies wanted to do, sort of flesh out Peter's parents and sort of romanticize that aspect of his story. Andrew Garfield definitely loved Peter Parker and Spider-Man as a character, and it really shows in his performance. So, I'm not going to get too into it, but yeah.
Yeah, I won't either. I definitely think every Spider-Man incarnation, if I can say that way, they all have their own spin on it, and I think they all do it pretty well. Like, I think they all nail certain aspects of Spider-Man pretty well. So I also don't really have like a definitive favorite Spider-Man. So, but I think they all like hit pretty well. Like things like Andrew, I don't think he plays a good Peter, but I think his Spider-Man's actually pretty good. But yeah, I won't get too that into it because we could do a whole thing on that. So we'll probably say that until the movie's probably closer to coming out. We could do like a Spider-Man tier list. So
yeah, we'll definitely try to figure that out, but go on.
Yeah, I'm just happy we could finally set these rumors away. We've been talking about this movie for the past like year on this podcast, and I'm finally happy like we have solid like evidence. Like, here's a teaser trailer, and we could finally put all these leaks and stuff to rest. Like, here it is. This is it. We just gotta wait for the final trailer to probably show Tobey, and then that's it. Then we can finally watch this movie. I'm very excited for it. And I just can't wait to see a live action Spider-Verse, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, Peter sort of like, not willing to sort of shut the fuck up when Doctor Strange is doing his spell is very much a Peter Parker thing to do to sort of get the movie going,
Yeah.
because he is a much younger Spider-Man, and he's still a kid, so. I think that, him fucking up that badly makes sense. So, all of these villains being sort of his responsibility, quote unquote, because he just wouldn't shut the fuck up. So, obviously there's still a lot that we don't know about this movie. But, there are a couple of things that we know with the villains and the heroes and everything like that. So, hopefully this movie lives up to the highest of expectations that people have already set for it. I just can't wait to sit in the theater, hopefully in December, and it doesn't get delayed, and watch this movie and see exactly what the fuck is going on, because all of the rumors, all of the sort of speculation around this movie has been insane. So to finally see it all play out, whether it's December or later into next year, I just cannot wait.
Yeah. Basically, I feel the same exact way. I just can't wait to watch the movie and just have a good time at this point.
Yeah. All right. So is there anything else you'd like to add, good sir?
No, I think that's it.
All right. So thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Travis and Damian podcast. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.